You have been enjoying fresh summer fruit for the last several months during summer. Even though summer is over, you don't have to give up on eating fresh fruit.
Cameron, actually, the fall season, some of the best fruits of the season are going to be available now. So what we need to do is walk around and look at some things and taste some fresh fruit. Let's get busy.
Join here with Tom Spellman, fruit tree enthusiast. Good to see you, Tom.
Cameron, it's good to be here. It's been several years since we've had an opportunity to get together and look at trees, and I love what you've done with your landscape sense.
Appreciate it. It's grown up around us.
Yeah, it really looks nice. You've got some great specimens and producing some nice crops.
Thanks, it's been great. You know, a lot of our stuff grows in the summer, and that's what most people associate with fresh fruit, is you're thinking of all of your stone fruit and berries and all sorts of different stuff. But there are a ton of options available in fall. What are some things that are available to the grower in fall?
Fall is a wonderful season. We've got lots of varieties that'll be ripe between now and, say, the first of the year. We're looking at figs, we're looking at persimmons, jujubes, pomegranates, many different fruits that'll hold on the tree for several weeks or up to a couple of months. And the flavors are incredible. They build high sugars this time of year. We've got lots of options to look at.
Yeah, we've got some of those things growing, and I'd love to just take a look at some of them.
Absolutely, let's do it.
If you stay tuned to the end of the video, we're going to share with you a kind of a secret fruit that you wouldn't normally associate with fall fruit. Okay, well, I guess we find ourselves in the middle of our 3-in-1 fig planting.
I remember when you put this in, so tell me again, what are the varieties that you have in the collection?
Yeah, so in front of us is Cadota.
Yeah.
And behind us is Black Mission fig.
Okay.
And behind you is this Panache or Tiger Stripe fig.
Right,
yeah.
right. And all wonderful varieties, you know, Black Mission and Panache, certainly two of my top 5.
Yeah.
And you know, Cadota is such a great producer, and multiple uses. You can dehydrate it, you can use it for jams and jellies, you can eat it fresh. It's just a wonderful variety. So all 3 really good selections.
We've got kind of a weird one here. This Panache is striped.
So Cameron, you know, this is typical for the variety Panache Tiger Stripe. It shows that variegation through the wood. It shows a variegation on the immature fruit with a green stripe on the yellow. And then when the fruit ripens up, you can always tell when it's fully ripened, it'll lose that green stripe as the fruit turns completely yellow. As opposed to most variegated plants, the foliage or the leaf is not variegated. So you don't have that yellow margin stripe on the leaf itself. It's strictly on the wood and the immature fruit. But many times, before they're completely ripe, they can still be used and they still show you that beautiful interior.
Look at this thing.
Red strawberry color.
Is there anything specific to the fig that makes it good for the backyard grower?
Figs are very easy to sculpt or mold into whatever type of shape or form you want to use. You want to put them on a trellis and a spellium. You want to keep them as a low hedgerow. You want a multiple plant. You want a big stately specimen. They'll lend themselves to just about any kind of a backyard use. So they're very versatile as far as that goes. And the fruit ripens up and down the stem one at a time. So you don't get all your fruit at one particular time. You get fruit from, say, on a Breba crop as early as June and early July. And then on a regular summer fig crop, you'll get fruit all through August, September, October, almost right up until the first frost. So from a backyard orchardist point of view, you get 3 or 4 months worth of fruit off of a fig tree, where a peach or an apricot are going to give you 2 or 3 weeks.
There's something that you mentioned earlier, which is the jujube, and it's over there. I want to go over there next.
One of my favorites. We need to go take a look at that.
We were walking through, and I wasn't going to stop over here because I didn't think there was any fruit on it, but we just found an Asian pear.
So this is a variety called Shinko. This is one of the old-fashioned Japanese Asian pears, and this we would also consider a fall fruit. You know, these are ready right now. You could pluck that off, put it in the refrigerator, and chill it down for a day or 2, and that'd be absolutely wonderful. So you know, they're ripe October into November, and you've got several really nice ones left on this tree. So
these are truly some of my favorite fruit. They're crunchy, they're juicy, and a ton of flavor when they're ripe.
Yep. Love Asian pears.
The jujube is probably the one fruit in this entire orchard that everybody in our family of 7 uniformly likes.
And you know, I hear that all the time from everybody that has a jujube. But so far, they're such an underappreciated fruit in this country, but they have such a long, ancient history. The cultivation of jujubes and jujube as a staple food goes back over 10,000 years. So Cameron, this is one of those plants that fits so well into our Mediterranean landscape style. They will virtually survive on natural rainfall once they're established for a couple of years. But if you really want this kind of a crop, this good heavy crop, nice juicy crunchy fruit, several real thorough deep irrigations through the summer will get you a wonderful quality fruit. And look at the fruit set, it's absolutely beautiful.
Bonkers, how?
And most of the time, they'll take this fruit, they'll let it turn fully brown, and they'll dehydrate it. And it, like I said, it virtually will last forever. But this is the stage that I like, when they're still a third green or even half green, and you take a bite and you've got that crunchy, nutty, appley flavor.
With a little bit of moisture.
It is absolutely one of my favorite fruits.
These are great because you can enjoy them kind of at the beginning of their ripening, all the way through till they're dried. Look at the size of this thing, like a little apple.
And as a dehydrated fruit, they'll last virtually forever. They don't go bad. You could set it on the kitchen counter, come back in a year and eat that fruit.
How I would characterize this for somebody who hasn't tried a jujube before is that it's kind of like a little bit of a sweeter, but kind of a little bit of a foamy apple because of the bite. But it's not unpleasant at all. I don't even want to give that idea. It's so tasty.
No, it has a great crunch. It has a great kind of a nutty appley flavor. Yeah.
Jujube is a hit. Okay, we've got another one. Some of the fall fruit that we have loved is something like this persimmon. And I know that there are different kinds, like in my dad's house, we had hachia persimmon, which is like an astringent persimmon, but we opted for a non-astringent variety, this giant fuyu over here.
Yes, and I love giant fuyu. It's not as productive as a Jiro fuyu or a Gosho fuyu, but the fruit, you can see how large the fruit is.
Giant.
This variety, giant fuyu, is a non-astringent variety. This can be picked when it's still crunchy and eaten right off the tree. Where if this was a variety like Tamalpan or Haichia, it would be a variety that you would have to either let fully ripen on the tree, so they have to hang on the tree pretty much until the tree goes dormant and you get a good cold snap. So the unusual thing this year, Cameron, is we had such an extended winter. We had late rain, we had late cool weather. We didn't really have any heat until into July. So all of the summer fruits and all of these fall fruits are about a month to 6 weeks late. Where normally these giant fuyus would already be showing a relatively mature color right now. They wouldn't really be flavored up quite yet, but the color would be strong and bright, and you'd see a nice orange fruit. But this year, they're still green. So we're looking at having these persimmons that we should have around the 1st of November. It'll probably be around the late November, early December before they're really fully tree ripe.
Getting ready for the Christmas season.
Absolutely.
Astringent, for those of you who don't know that word, that's kind of that flavor that you get if you bite into a banana peel. Kind of that immediate dryness that hits your tongue. And that's really an uncomfortable feeling to have on your tongue. And so some persimmons are astringent if they're not ripe.
Correct.
When they ripen, they get incredibly flavorful. More flavorful, really, than fuyu and some of these non-astringent varieties I've found. And they're totally different texture, whereas these can be eaten before they're fully ripe, and they're crunchy. You can slice them like an apple.
The trick that most people don't realize with astringent persimmon varieties is you can still pick them when they're a little immature. But, you don't have to let them go dormant on the tree and get bird-pecked fruit. You can pick them when they're still a little immature and put them in the freezer, and freeze them for 3 or 4 days, and then when you thaw them out, the astringency is gone.
Hey, there's one more specific fall fruit before we get to our mystery one, and that is the pomegranate. That's out in the front in our original kind of test orchard. Let's head out there.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, Tom, we are in the front where we started our orchard back in the day, 11 and some years ago. And behind us here is one of my favorite fruit, especially being half Persian, and that is the pomegranate.
Absolutely. And what variety is this, Cameron?
This is sweet.
So that sweet is one of my all-time favorites. It has, a large kernel. It's a relatively soft seed. It has a beautiful bright color, and it's a relatively non-astringent, not so acidic. It's a very palatable flavor.
Yeah, it's not a very strong flavor.
No, so it makes a great juice on its own. It's great to eat out of hand on its own. So this is one of those varieties where I always say, hey, wonderful is what they call the standard of the industry, but this is a step above a wonderful. Great variety. I love what you did with it. I love the way you planted it up against a wall. This is what I would call a casual espalier. It's 8 feet high, it's 12 feet wide. It only comes out about 3 to 4 feet from that wall. So you've given it a designated amount of space to grow in, and you're just keeping it manicured into that space.
Yeah, so the espalier is just kind of taking the tree and putting it against almost like a two-dimensional plane and keeping it up against a wall and following the lines of the wall.
Absolutely. You've done a great job of that. It's obviously, it likes this position. It's got a great crop of fruit on it. We're right there now where you can start to harvest, you know, 2 or 3 at a time. Yep, it's ready.
A little flick
it's
test.
ready.
This one's ready to go.
So you could harvest 2 or 3 at a time and use them, and the next day or 2 days later, the same thing, and you're going to have 6 weeks worth of fruit on here. So
what kind of grower should be considering these for a backyard? In other words, climates, or there are certain things about a pomegranate that people ought to keep in mind, either how they're planting or pruning or anything like that?
Well, you know, pomegranates are always going to favor a kind of a dry, hot environment. So you want to put it somewhere where it's going to get predominant sunlight, although this exposure gives it a little bit of shade. So, and this plant is not suffering, and the fruit quality is not suffering from
not
that.
at all.
So it's not going to need quite as much irrigation. Kind of put it in the same category as the Jujube we talked about earlier. You know, it's from a Mediterranean climate. It's not going to need quite as much irrigation once it's established, but you know, several good thorough irrigations through the growing season, through the summer season, are going to give you this reward. You don't want it on an irrigation system that gets watered 2 or 3 times a week. You know, you want to make sure when you do irrigate, you irrigate deeply and thoroughly and let it go just slightly dry in between. And this is a great example of how it loves that.
Yes.
It absolutely loves that.
Cool. Well, we've got the mystery fall fruit that we're going to go to next.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so we've looked at the kind of traditional fall fruit, and this is our mystery fruit, something you wouldn't normally consider to be a fall fruit. What are we next to here, Tom?
Well, this is a true Eureka lemon, and we don't really consider this a fall fruit. They're just starting to show a little bit of color. They're at that what we would call silver stage right now. So actually commercially, they're going to start picking fruit at this stage. That's when they're going to put it into a curing house, and they're going to change the color in the curing house, and then they're going to send it out to market. They don't necessarily let them get bright yellow on the tree for commercial use. So right there, that tells you we're not necessarily looking for this fruit to develop a high intensity sweet flavor. It's not a sweet fruit, it's an acidic fruit. So we're going to use it for that type of a purpose, for marinades, for salsas, for on fish, for just to squeeze it in your iced tea, whatever you want to do with it. But you're not looking for sweetness. The fruit at this stage right now is perfectly usable, and that's a beautiful piece of fruit. That's perfectly marketable piece of fruit, and the juice right now is just as good as it'll be in a month or 2 months or 3 months. And you have all these different stages of fruit on the tree. So you've got October, November, December, January, February. I can virtually go out and pick fruit off of my old ancient Eureka lemon every single day of the year. I always have some fruit that I can use on it. This is one of those varieties that it makes an excellent backyard orchard variety because you can harvest off of it so often and so regularly.
It makes me crazy when you go to the store and you're thinking this is in season kind of all the time. Like Tom's saying, if you're getting a navel orange, if we walked over there and grabbed a navel orange, we could bite it, there would be some juice in it, but it would be sour. And you don't want that in a navel orange, but you want sour in a lemon.
Absolutely.
So this works out perfectly.
So what we're mainly concerned with right now is how much juice can we get out of that fruit? And there's plenty of juice in that right now where we could use that for any type of culinary use that we wanted. And the flavor, true acid lemon. It's delicious.
Tom, thanks for coming out. This is great. If you want to see some more videos with Tom, I'm going to put a link right here, so be sure to click on that for more of the journey here. And whether you've got one fall fruit you're enjoying this year or 500, until next time, stay busy.